In the last video, I said I would go and curate my games. I would go back and fix things that were wrong with games that I liked, and kill off the ones that I didn't. What? Before we get into that, my name is Helper Wesley. I make games and fortnightly videos. The first game that I wanted to tackle was one that I said was done, but honestly, I never really got through giving it a proper difficulty curve and endgame. It was supposed to be finished in 3 weeks, because apparently I'm made of magic. Or at least past me thought so. But screw that guy, because I found a note in this game that just says, "Sorry to future me." As if past me knew that he was screwing me over, but didn't change anything about it. Anyhow, I thought the best place to start was to just play through the game and see what things were wrong with it and what needed to be fixed. Now, functionally, this game is fine. It works, there's a tutorial built in, you can watch the other videos as I explained the things as I added them into the game, but I think the game's message and what I designed are two very different things. The game, by the way it looks and sounds and feels and plays, says, hey, come here, relax, chill, enjoy yourself. The game that I built, on the other hand, says, work hard, die young, oh god, why haven't you got enough resources? I don't know why I was so fixated on the idea, but I decided that you should have to start the game over again if you lose. Like, when you lose, which will happen because the game is brutal, when you lose, your save file gets deleted. Like, all of it. It goes away. So, all of the work you did in this game, which, it's a long game, but all of the work that you did in this game goes up in smoke. This game was not messing around. But let's talk about the things that I found and fixed. The very first thing I did when I went into the game was disable the file being deleted when you lose. Because as I said, that is just insane. That is just not okay for what is supposed to be a chill mobile game. And then the second thing I did to help with the whole, oh god, the world's going to end kind of vibe the game gives off, was to add a pause button. And this was just a simple toggle whenever you clicked on the clock. And I just put a shade up on the screen to show me when the toggle was on and off. And then one of the other things that was wrong with this game was the fact that there is a built-in tutorial, there's no text, but UI elements and things only show up when you actually need them. So it's sort of like an invisible hand that guides you in the direction you need to go. But nothing expressly tells you anywhere in the game that you have to get to day 30, or that if you don't have your daily needs met, then you fail the game. So this is a bit of a lazy way to do it, but I decided to just throw that in the pause menu so that way people would be able to read that objective whenever they pause the game. To make the game properly pause where nothing else works other than the pause menu, I literally just slotted the entire game as a sub-event to the toggle for whether or not the pause is on or off. So when the game switches, all of the code ceases to work. Which will hopefully not break anything, but all I noticed was that the music was restarting, so that's fine. So to get the player to click this in the first place so they would have an idea of the objective and what they're supposed to do, I used the glow effect, which, shout out to the GDevelop devs for making it possible to give individual objects effects. But I started the game with the glow effect on for the clock, and after the first time you press it, it turns on while the pause menu is on and then turns off while the pause menu is off. So it's not a distraction mid-game. It's just an easy way to draw your eye to it for the first time. And I can guarantee you that I'll be using this effect again in later games because it's pretty easy to do. And now for the actual difficulty of the game. This kind of game should really just be chill and enjoyable. It shouldn't be that stressful. There definitely should be a fail state, but it's the kind of game that you should use to de-stress, not get more stressed out. So I ended up doing two things. I literally halved the amount of resources you would need for your daily needs, went through and just divided everything by 2 and then used seal to round everything up to the nearest integer, and then I added a blurb to the fail screen that reminds you that you can go to the options and reset your data if the game has gotten too hard and you would like to restart, now knowing how you can better min-max your game. For Village Clicker, that was basically the biggest issue, was the difficulty, but I also went through and changed some sound effects and things because I'd made them by like banging things off counters and stuff, and so there's some weird echoing happening and some staticky sounds happening, So basically what I did was cut off the end of the sound effects to get rid of any echo or reverb or static that was picked up by the microphone outside of the sound itself, and then extended the piece a little bit and added a reverb to it to give it an echoey sound generated from the original sound, if that makes sense. So now that I've fixed one, I can reward myself by getting rid of one I don't like. What? But I don't care if it's... Okay. So I've been informed that I can't get rid of Delta Chase. But I am going to kill off another one. Let's see, which one will it be? This one. This game was made for a secret project that I still haven't made a video on yet. Oh, and speaking of secrets, I have another one. I made a poll and everybody said it was okay that I had secrets, and I was teasing them. Yeah, no, I still shouldn't keep secrets. So you know what? Let's put this secret away for a while. Maybe I'll talk about it eventually. But this game, the one that I'm going to delete now, I'm going to make that into the next video. But for now... Okay, so the second game that I want to get to is called Energy Supply. But this is also a part of that secret from, like, the spring that I can't talk about. Energy Supply is a game that I'm quite fond of, despite what anybody says. One of the biggest issues about the game would be the visuals. The UI is functional, it does its thing, whatever, but the planet is so bad. It's the kind of thing that can only come about from a game jam. Like, I drew this terrible not an Earth, and then I made it spin around in circles as opposed to rotating properly. And I think, like, a quarter of the comments are just about how bad the planet is, or how come the planet doesn't do other things, and it's just like, But since I found this wonderful, free-to-use art planet generator thing by Deepfold, I decided that would be the perfect thing to add in there. So I went through and randomized until I got something that was appropriate for a Earth-like planet, made sure it was the appropriate scale, and then exported it into... Well, I had to go download Asprite first because this is a new computer. And when I did that, I realized... No! All of my settings are gone. I had, like, tweaked everything around to make it feel more like GIMP. But whatever, it's fine. So I used Asprite to break up the animation into individual pieces so that I could use it in GDevelop. Plugged them in, and then when it first popped up, it was contrasting way too much with the rest of the UI. It's supposed to just be a background image. So I boosted up the darkening layer to make it fight less with the foreground. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm sure that somebody out there is screaming about Mixels, but whatever. Now, like I probably said earlier, the gameplay for Energy Supply is perfect. It's this little clicker game, and it does exactly what it sets out to do. The only issue with the game is that I had set it up so that it would replay from the beginning again if you lost. It would give you this really snarky end text and then tell you to try again, but the problem is that when it did that, it wouldn't reset the variables, so when you started the game up again, it would just immediately make you lose because it was already set to losing. So I had to go in, and thankfully there weren't very many variables, so it wouldn't be a very difficult task if it wasn't for my arch nemesis. Yeah, this game was made before I released my Hades clone, so it didn't worry about spaces in variable names or action names or whatever. So I started the tedious progress of trying to get away with not having to change them by copying the existing code and moving it over, but that was just going to take forever. So I remembered a comment from my Hades clone video where they said that you can go in and search for a text and then replace it with the click of a button. And I'd never done this before, so I was kind of scared of it, but it was literally just a click of a button. And then I play tested it just to make sure that everything was working properly, and it was. And now as a reward to myself, I'm going to kill off a game that I don't like. And since I can't touch Delta Chase, I'm going to get rid of... This was a game that I made in 20 minutes, and it was a bad idea back then, and it's still a bad idea now. And there's nothing wrong with the game, it's just so simple that, like, I don't think it needs to be on my list. Versions of this game have been made and played everywhere. things dropping from the ceiling and you just catch them. So time to get rid of this one too. So, I've fixed a couple games and killed off a couple. If you're in our Discord, then you already know that I'm a big fan of minimalism. And I would love to cut off more games and just have the best games there. But I'm actually at the point now where I'm pretty proud of the games that are on this list. Yes, some of these games were made when I didn't know what I was doing, but they're all good enough that I could sit down and suggest somebody play them just to get an idea of what I've made. And I won't be improving them because I know that they're so old that just, oh man. The updates from last year to this year are going to kill those games. So rather than put myself through that, I'm just going to leave those ones alone. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and the next video I release will be on icebergs, and how it came into being and why the video is like half a year later. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click on that subscribe button, and the links to- Wait, hold on. Patrons. These cool people have decided to keep me caffeinated while I make projects, and I really appreciate that. And if you would like to get your name up there with them, the link to the Patreon is down below. And now the whole outro is just ruined, so how do I end this video